It does feel like, you know, like the end for a second.
Yeah.
And so it's like desperation and just like confusion and uh, a little let down when you're in a situation like I am where, my kids are very little, we have a new home,
You
a
are the
new
provider for your
business.
family. Yeah.
I am the sole provider for my family. If I don't do this, what else am I going to do?
Hey y'all, we're on with Quin Hernandez. This is going to be a double episode. So this is the video episode, and then we've also got an audio only available episode on Spotify and Apple Podcasts right now. Make sure you check out both. I'd recommend checking out that first episode before you check out this one. But both are going to be a lot of fun. We love Quin, and we had a lot of fun with this episode. So enjoy.
Quin, how are you? Oh my God, how are
Hi,
you?
hello.
First of
Hi.
all, I want to issue a public apology. Well, and I also want to let you know that there's an exclusive audio-only episode with
Yes.
Quin Hernandez.
On my OnlyFans,
Yeah.
only $19.99, and I'll send you the audio.
Do you have any specials going on right now or anything like that?
Fuck some specials.
No,
I want
dude.
$20.
Is it a one-time fee or that's the monthly cost?
Every time they listen to it, they gotta Venmo me $20.
Okay, so if you go through Quin's OnlyFans, it's $20. If you go through Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it's free. But anyway, so there's an exclusive audio-only episode out with Quin Hernandez right now because somebody, won't say who, forgot to press record on the video. It was me.
There's also 16 cameras back here, so I understand it.
Yeah, we
not
were
something
without a
would have thought
producer
about.
that day. I was also it looked terrible because I was trying to do the lighting.
You did, and I thought, man, he's really doing great. Like you kept getting up, checking the lights and everything.
So you couldn't see. I was like, damn, this looks like shit, but I don't know what to do.
So how does it work? You just like, what button did you press? You pressed the button.
I just forgot. No, I didn't. I guess I
No,
didn't
you're
press
just
record.
rolling. Whatever happened. It was just rolling.
Yep.
Damn.
But anyway, yeah. So it was so good. So I'm glad we got the audio. But we talked about Quin's upbringing and tattooing, kind of how he got to where he is today. We talked about his family struggles as immigrants to the U.S. and it was just really awesome conversation. So we definitely recommend listening to that one first. But both of these episodes are going to be awesome because Quin's awesome. But yeah, so sorry about that. But if you listen to a podcast while driving, this one's for you.
But it was cool because it was my first podcast too.
First podcast
And
ever?
then yeah, it was. It really was. And so, I mean, I had done some similar stuff before, but like legit like this. And so it was good to listen to that. For one, maybe I won't preach as much, and two, I kept doing this shit.
I thought I did notice that, but that
And
you're
I kept
active
listening to
listening.
that
Yeah.
shit. I couldn't even hear what I was saying anymore. I just kept myself like doing that when you were talking or you were talking.
Dude,
So
I'm gonna out myself right here, but I was listening to the Squire podcast and both of us, and I like clear my nose a lot, but she was also sick that day, and so the whole time I'm just like, it's so
And you just
annoying.
don't notice it.
Don't go back and listen to it if you haven't
I didn't
already.
know.
you don't notice it.
Yeah,
I never thought, and then since then I've been paying attention to when I'm talking to people, and I keep doing that shit, and I'm like, okay, wait.
I think it's good. No,
Yeah, you
I
think so?
it's
I'm
good.
like trying to make them feel like I am listening to them,
Yeah,
because that's a pet peeve of mine. So people like are kind of listening but not listening,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah.
no, I think it's good.
See, I didn't even hear that though, so that's good in this circle.
I think it's
But
good.
for people watching, it's gonna suck ass.
Yeah.
You know,
But yeah, that was an awesome episode, so highly recommend checking it out.
Yeah.
Got
It was fun, and it was funny,
yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
because you usually don't text me like with like that type of emergency type of vibe, and I'm like,
Emergency type.
yeah,
of vibe?
what'd you say to me? What'd you say to me? I think you just said my name, and I'm like, what happened? what's happening right now? I thought it was gonna be something like really bad.
Oh, when
When you
texted
told me that you didn't record it, and I was like, oh fuck,
it was
what
pretty
happened?
bad. Yeah, that was.
It is
embarrassing how
bad,
they
but I
had
was
to
like,
tell you.
oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Colton.
Yeah, we were we had like just recorded the next episode with JPG. This was like the next day. And we like went to grab breakfast and Lexi texted me. She's like, "Hey, did you hit record on the last episode?" I'm like, "I fucking hope so." Turns out I didn't.
Oh shit! So you came and checked or what? Or you just
Yeah.
yeah.
Then I
But
cried.
the audio was
I was
there.
like, I got to text Quin now. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's the thing though. It's like the first thing that popped in my head was how badly I wanted my parents to listen to it.
Yeah.
That's really all I'm
Yeah.
worried about.
Yeah.
You know, I don't care. And so I was like, fuck, I really wanted them to listen to it. But then you were like, I have the audio. And as soon as I got it, that's who I sent it to was my parents, my sister, my brother,
Yeah.
and like another guy at the studio. But really for my parents and my siblings to listen to it, I was like, that made me so happy, man. And just for them to, I guess, because I talked about them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not something that you do um, a lot, is tell those you love those type of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when it's like indirectly like that, I was kind of excited. And so for them to hear it, I was like, that's it. I'm good to go.
And they liked it.
What did your dad say?
Yeah, they were just so, I mean, they were like, we cried, we laughed, and and then they talked about it more, and it was just awesome. They really loved it.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah,
Especially with how much you talked about your dad.
I
and
did.
him
I
and
talked
all
about
of
my dad
that.
a lot,
Yeah.
and I mean, I do a lot though. I was thinking about him yesterday while I was like doing some yard work, just because he like left me like a trailer full of plants, and I'm like he just does like so much, like little things that like at first I'm like, oh, I don't need all those plants, and then when I'm actually looking at them, I'm like, I'm gonna use all these plants.
Yeah.
Like so
Yeah.
it's just
One
really
of, one
helpful.
of my like reels ideas was like a supercut of like you talking about how awesome your dad was. It's gonna be like, man, whose dad's awesome as Quinn's dad? But
Yes.
yeah. So we'll have to talk about him more. Maybe
Yeah,
we can
yeah,
still
I'm
do
down,
that
man. Yeah,
on
my
this
whole
episode.
family's dope.
And we
They're
all
fucking
have a
awesome.
soft spot for our dads on this podcast right
Yeah?
now too.
Yeah.
I will say it's cool though. I've noticed like, and maybe it's because it's easier to share this visually, but like when people like tag the podcast and stuff, like a lot of times they're like watching on YouTube, like at home, like on their TV,
Mm,
which is cool.
mhm,
First of all,
yeah.
I'm like, that looks good.
Yeah.
But I
That's cool. That's
exclusively
how I
listen-
watch them if I'm home.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I exclusively listen to podcasts in the car, and I drive a good amount too.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
how close your studio is, but
Right.
like I never watch like video of podcasts, so
Oh, okay.
it's cool. But the YouTube stuff is like
Oh,
doing
nice.
pretty well.
Yeah,
Like it
no.
gets just as many views as like the audio
Yeah.
stuff. So
Oh, wow. Yeah, I do it on my TV. Yeah, because I'm already on my phone a lot. So if I'm home, even if I have some time to myself, I don't want to be on my phone. So I'll put it on
nice.
TV
Yeah.
or something.
I've heard of people say like they'll be doing like chores around the house and stuff, and they'll just put it on the TV.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do that a lot.
That's what I do with The Office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've watched The Office, but yeah.
We talked a lot about Breaking Bad this morning.
I just got him started.
Yeah,
he
that
just
shit's
started.
badass.
Breaking Bad.
Hell yeah. I watched that shit 5 times, beginning to end. It was awesome. It's great.
Wow, like
Yeah.
just over and over again, or just
No,
with
like
a
over
little
the course
break
of
in
years.
between?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
It's good.
Yeah, it's a good show.
But seriously, I really want to know how you're doing. Do you want to talk about
Yeah.
like what you've been going through?
Yeah, that's cool.
up to you.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it's like not anything that is like anything that's crazy. You're like, I'm gonna go into very, very deep because I'm still kind of
Yeah.
figuring it out.
Yeah.
But yeah,
totally.
absolutely. Because it's also been really interesting looking back at the past like 2 years. And so on the last podcast, I was talking to you guys about the playground that I built for the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how I kept to everyone that I told the story about the playground and me clearing all this land for this playground and building it by myself and with the help of my dad for a little bit. And I kept saying I almost fucking died because it was so hard and so strenuous. And now that I know what's going on with me, I was doing all that shit in pain. I was in a lot of pain doing all this shit because of what was going on with my body. So I'm like literally out
so-
there just fucking dying.
Yeah, because I guess you've talked
Trying
to
to
Dan
put
about
this
it, but
together.
I don't even know what you've been going
Yeah, so like trying to put this together, like it was so painful on like all of my joints and my legs, and it just everything hurt so bad. And I go inside, like I'd be out in the backyard, like from like 6-7 in the morning
You're saying it was
till
like an
dinner
all
time.
day thing,
Go
yeah.
inside and eat, and the kids would be like, "Where are you? What are you doing?" And I had like tarps and trailers parts so they couldn't see. And I would just be like, "Sorry, I'm working on the shed that I'm building."
You're like I'm
I would
making
tell
meth
like a
in my
white
trailer.
lie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I would get in the shower and then go back outside until like 3-4 in the morning and continue to work with a headlamp. And so I was doing all of this in pain, and I thought it was just normal. And so like I normalized within the past couple of years the pain that I was in. And so then I started thinking about the symposium and how at the end of my presentation I told everybody that I was in a lot of pain and how it was so important for them, for artists to stretch and take care of their bodies so that their careers can be long and healthy.
Yeah.
Which is still true, But in my head, I'm like, oh, all like 100 people here are just in as much pain as I am because I thought it was normal. And even Mark, I spent the weekend with Mark at Motor City, and he was like, he told me, he said, when you said that, I kind of thought, damn, am I doing something wrong? Because I don't feel any of that or right.
Like,
And
my
so
body's not
I
breaking.
just thought it was so normal for everybody to hurt as bad as I was hurting. And I really thought it was just from not stretching, which, yeah, if you don't stretch, like it's not something you want to, not do. But I just thought it was normal. And so I've been in pain for the last 2 years, like a lot of pain, just a lot of inflammation and no mobility, just always hurting. Before work, during work, after work. And since we're always working, I'm like, how am I gonna get away from this without having to take months off work?
Yeah.
And I considered it. I mean, I really did. I was like, I mean, we have the studio, I have, good months. I'm like, I can afford to take off a month or two if I need to, because I was that close to like doing it. I was in so much pain, and but I just didn't do it. And so my initial my second thought to that was, well, first of all, I need to like make it a habit of stretching and working out. So then I start stretching and working out, but that shit hurts. And I'm like, this is normal. It's gonna hurt at first. I need to just work through the pain. So I'm like trying to like bend my leg and I'm screaming. And Sabrina's like in the next room, like, are you okay in there? And I'm like, yeah, just stretching. And I'm like just like screaming in pain because of how bad all of this shit hurt and my hips. And so I'm like, all right. I mean, it's kind of normal, but maybe not. Let's just see. Maybe I need to go to the doctor. So then I sat on going to the doctor for like months. And then 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks now, we went to the gym for the first time in forever. I mean, it's our lifestyle now with the kids makes it hard for us to just find the time to work out together. And it's a
Yeah.
luxury now,
Yeah.
honestly. And so we went to work out together. And I'm like, I haven't worked out in a while, just haven't been able to. And I'm like trying to do shoulder presses, which is like my favorite workout. And I'm like struggling with like a 10-pound weight on this arm. This one's good. I'm like good to go on this one, but this one, like a 10-pound weight, I was like having trouble lifting it. It was so painful. And I'm like, all right, that's a little worrisome. Like that's, I'm like 34, like something's going on here and all my joints is like, I need to like maybe go to the doctor. So I called, went to the doctor, and I'm not gonna say like it's absolutely that's what's happening or not, because I still have like more visits, and also I don't want to put that thought in my head.
And so this was like what, 4 weeks
This
ago?
was then a week after the gym was when I went to the
So
doctor.
three
So this
weeks
was
ago.
3 weeks ago today. And so I went, and then I went with the purpose of getting a referral to a physical therapist, because I was like, I'm gonna add that to like my monthly bills. Like this is like a thing that I'm just gonna pay for monthly. I want a physical therapist to go and work with them and learn how to stretch, learn what to do after work, before work, things like that.
Yeah.
So I get there and I tell the doctor this, and she's like, well, no, I can't just give you a referral just just for the hell of it. Like we need to see what's going on. And I'm like annoyed. I'm like, oh Jesus, like please just give me the referral. Like this is what's going on. And she's like, no, gotta see. Let's draw some blood and see what's going on. And I'm just like hella annoyed, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh, God damn it, all right, whatever. And so she, without really, we didn't really talk about much. All I told her was I've been feeling pain in all my joints. My left shoulder is like to the point where I can even like scratch like back here, like it hurts so bad, and then like my wrists are like fucked, and I'm like I need all of that to work. And so she gave me that's it. That's literally it. And she was like, we're gonna draw some blood, and then I'm gonna give you some anti-inflammatories, which I've taken them before, and they're great. So I was like, okay, I'll take those. Cool. And then she gave me a prescription for pain pills, and I'm like, all right, that's a little excessive, but it's nice to have them around. And so I go to the pharmacy to pick up my stuff, and I get the pills, and then they have a little label with the instructions, whatever. And I go to drive off, and the head pharmacist comes over, and he's like, told me when to take the anti-inflammatories, and then he pointed at the pain pills, and he's like, and then just take these 2 times a day, like with no like asking like when you or telling me when you need them, if you're in pain, like be careful, nothing, just like no, take these 2 times a day, that's it. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like this is intense. So I took my pain pills on my anti-inflammatories, and then they call me, told me like an hour later, I was at the studio, that my inflammation in my body was not excessively high, but there was definitely significant inflammation in my body, and they were like, that's just means arthritis. Like you're just gonna have, like, that's the signs of arthritis in you. They didn't really say which type, nothing like that.
Yeah.
But uh, my mom's side of the family, I've just learned, all have suffered from debilitating arthritis. And now, right now, my grandmother is dealing with it, and my mom, at only what, 56 or 55, is in pain all the
Yeah.
time. I mean, her knees are always like this big, just like not being able to work, not being able to move, like getting stem cell shots now, so it's like all of
Serious
this just
shit.
kind of crushed down on me like in one day. And I'm at the studio, and dude, I was down, man. I was super upset. I mean, you got to think like, um, I'm like the breadwinner in the family, and even when it comes to like my my parents or my brother and sister, when needed, I am the one that's able to say, I got you, I got
Yeah.
to take care of this. And I love that. I've always been like that. I'm a very giving person. And for somebody to just kind of, oh, and not only that, but the doctor was like, just thought she would throw this in there. She was like, you got a good like 5 to 6 years before everything you do hurts and everything you do is uncomfortable. And so like now there's a time limit on my shit. Like I'll be 40 and like what, unable to work, unable to move, unable to play with my kids. What does this mean exactly? So I was like not only like super sad and upset that day, but I was also kind of pissed off and offended. That it was just like so easy for somebody to just write you off like that, and then
Yeah.
just here's some pills and sorry, you know? And so, oh man, I had a really hard day that day. And it's just like, well, what's going to happen? It's a fear that I'm sure most tattooers have. Maybe it's like, if you can't tattoo, what are you going to do? You
Yeah.
know? And I mean, I'm sure like there's more things. I don't want to say that's like the extent of like who I am. It's a tattoo artist. I feel like I'm pretty good at other things, but I don't want to find out, like I want to
Yeah.
do this for a long fucking time. And it was just scary, to be faced with this like reality that I may not be able to do this for as long as I thought I was going to be able to.
It's
So
almost like someone telling you when you're gonna die,
I mean,
and
honestly,
then also realizing like, oh, I guess doctors don't care sometimes or
yeah,
don't know all the answers
Hmm.
too, and so it's just a sense of mo- uh, uh, morality. What's the
mortality.
mortality?
Yes,
Sorry, it's
yes,
just a sense of mortality
yeah.
and
It
betrayal.
it becomes very real,
Yeah,
and yeah. So that's how it felt. It felt like just like it just felt wrong.
yeah,
And I'm like a very obsessive person, and I get offended easily like when it comes to like personal things, and I'm like, fuck that, like no, like that's not gonna be me. Like I don't give a fuck what they say. Like it's like I'm always like, just like I have that mentality that
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and control this the best I can for like to benefit me, and then we'll see where that goes. And so it just like not only that, but like I even though I went in there and I told this lady every pain I felt in every single joint, the last thing I mentioned was that my left shoulder hurt a lot, and I told her about me not being able to lift that weight. And so she set me up with appointments with orthopedics.
surgeon.
And so I'm like really excited about this appointment, which was actually supposed to be the day before I came here last time with y'all. So I was excited to like go to that and then come here and see y'all,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and so they call me from there, and they keep talking about my left shoulder. They're like, we're going to take a look at that shoulder. We're going to look at that shoulder. We're going to do an MRI on that shoulder. I'm like, that's cool. Thank you. But what about everything else? And they're
Yeah.
like, what do you mean everything else? I'm like, what what the fuck? Like everything hurts. Why are y'all like focusing on just my left shoulder? And they're like,
Yeah.
well, that's in the notes and in the order,
Mm.
which I get. Like an MRI can only be done on so many parts, but like, and I'm still glad that I'm gonna get that looked at. But you see what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it feels
Totally.
like
Yeah.
nobody's gonna take care of you or
Yeah.
care for you the way you can. And so I was just like, it was just so many things, man, and I just took it very personally, and I'm like, no, that's not gonna be me, So I got home and I threw those pill bottles in the back of a cabinet. I'm like, I'm not touching those. There's gotta be something else that I can do. And so my first thought was my diet. I'm like, there's got to be something in my diet that can be changed for this. I don't know why, like my subconscious, like just from shit I've seen, read, heard, you know. So I was like, there's got to be something in play here with my diet, and that's what I've been doing for three weeks to the day. So like that day that I went to the doctor and worked, I just decided not to eat. I didn't eat the whole day because I was like, I'm not gonna put anything else in my body until I like start figuring out like how I'm gonna fix this. And I'm in a lot of pain, dude. Like daily, every moment of me awake is in pain. Hips, ankles, like me doing this, like it would be so painful in my ankles,
Mm.
and like my elbows, wrists, my neck. I can't really like roll it. I mean, it was serious, and I'm over here just
Yeah,
like, oh, it's
yeah,
normal. I just gotta fucking
yeah,
stretch. And
yeah.
so I didn't eat that the rest of the day, and then Friday, I decided to just cut out pretty much every single form of processed food, every sugar, every carbohydrate, like just kind of very like intense, and just do the carnivore thing. After I kind of read up on it a little bit, and it's not like I became an expert overnight. It's not like I um, subscribed to like a weird ideology all of a sudden. I just thought I'm gonna try this. Why not? Like
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
yeah,
try this. And then like I wanted to just feel like I was like proactive right away
yeah.
and not take weeks to figure this shit out. And it just so happened that I feel like I hit the target right like on the mark like
Hit the
that
jackpot.
day. I think I did. I mean, I it's been 3 weeks, and the changes I have felt in 3 weeks have been, there's no way to describe them. I mean, there's really no way to describe the changes I felt, man. And it's like pain is gone, inflammation is,
Gone?
dude, it's gone. It's gone. It like it's so insane what has happened in 3 weeks from me not eating any of the stuff I was eating. When I went in, one of the things I told her was like, and I'm kind of worried about my left wrist. I told her I use my left wrist for my job a lot to stretch skin. I can't really work without this hand, even though I tattoo with this hand.
Yeah,
And I went to tell her how much it hurt, like on the top of it. And I went to push like this because every time I would go like this, the pain right here felt like I was chopping my hand off. Like it was
Mm.
intense pain. So this hand never really moved past that point. And so for the last 2 years, and in the past 2 years, I've had stretches where I'm like working out extensively, and I'm like, in the gym getting it done. And so this hand, as long as it stayed like this, it was fine. But the minute it did this, it was game over. So no bench press, no push ups, like nothing.
yeah,
I couldn't
yeah.
even like do a push up on the wall like that. So it had to be always like this or holding dumbbells. And so 3 weeks ago, I'm in the doctor, and I've had this pain for years. And I'm in there and I'm telling her how much it hurts when I do this. And I'm like trying to push back, but I'm like, I can't go past that point, but it hurts really bad right here. And I'm like in pain while I'm showing her, fucking teary eye, like trying to push it as far as I can.
Oh my
It was
God,
bad,
dude.
man. I mean, like when I tell you I've been in pain, I've been in pain. And so I start doing this diet just because I'm desperate, not because I think it's the best thing for you, not
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I think it's like, oh my God,
You
is
might as
this
well
a,
just try it, dude.
I was
Yeah.
desperate right away that I was like, I have to try something. And so immediately Friday, just meat, animal product, no bread, no fruit, no sugar, no carbs. And Sunday and Monday, so like 3 4 days later, I'm dying. I'm literally dying. I'm like shaking. I'm having cold sweats, migraine. I slept like 5 or 6 hours each day, and I'd never sleep during the day. I
Yeah.
hate it.
Yeah.
I'm not a nap taker.
Yeah.
So I'm sleeping like a fucking crackhead, honestly. It's just like fucking sleeping, shaking, cold, migraine, like treating everybody around me like shit. I was an asshole to the kids. I was an asshole to Sabrina. And thankfully she understood I was going through something there. So she
Yeah.
like let me have my space. Slept for 2 days and did not, I mean, I came so close to like grabbing a bunch of bullshit from the pantry and hiding in my closet and eating it. I was having like dirty thoughts of like just like munching on shit in my closet.
Grabbing the Oreos and
I
going to
really
town.
did, dude. It was the worst feeling I've ever felt in my life. Like that withdrawal was no joke. So Monday night I'm dying and I'm like, oh Jesus, like I can't do this. Like I was like near tears. It was so bad. And I just kept eating meat. I just to calm that down, I just kept eating meat, drinking water, um, drinking electrolytes, like just to fill my belly and like just make it go away. Went to sleep early just so I didn't have to think about it anymore. Woke up Tuesday, and since Tuesday to now, dude, never have felt like this. I've
Wow.
never felt like this
Wow.
in my whole life. Not only that, but like the pain. The pain was the first thing that I started to notice, like kind of wearing off. And I'm like, I mean, that's just my head. Like
Yeah.
that's gotta be just like your head like tricking you, So like this is kind of whatever. I'm just gonna stick with it. And at a week and a half, dude, my energy was up. I felt good. I'm like, this is weird. This is strange. It's a nice day, and we have a gym at our house, and it's like
Flex.
a outer detached garage. So we put the door up, the garage door up, and then we're just like letting the kids out there and like playing. We're working out. It's a nice setup that I couldn't even use because I was in so much
Yeah.
pain.
Wow.
And so we're like, I'm like, hey Bean, I call my wife Bean. I'm like, hey Bean, let's work out. She's like, okay. I'm like, let's do it. We don't have anything going on. The kids are outside. So we go in there, and without her looking, I'm like, I'm gonna do a push up. Bro, gone. I mean, it is
No
so good, so
way.
strong, no pain at what like I would like press right here, and it would make me like have chills from the pain. Dude, I've been like doing push-ups every day. I've never done a push-up in my life. Like I missed them or something. It's been awesome. It's gone.
Wow.
It's gone. Pain in my
No
hips and my
way,
knees
dude.
is gone.
Oh my
I've been working
God.
out. I've been running. Dude, it's been crazy. So I don't know. It worked for me. It's working for me.
And
Yeah.
so you're literally just eating meat.
hmm
Are you eating dairy, like meat
yeah,
products?
yeah. So like I just introduced coffee back into my diet.
Uh-huh.
And with it, just like today, I didn't care what's in that, but like at home, I'm just doing like some like a little bit of half and half,
Yeah.
and so it's not as yummy, but I still get my caffeine. Oh, and by the way, coffee now without the sugar and the carbs every day, that's what coffee's supposed to feel like. I mean, I am wired. Where before I wake up in the morning and I have my coffee and my left eye would twitch throughout the whole day, just twitching. My left eye always twitching, and I would be yawning on the way to work, yawning while stenciling, yawning while working, coffee, energy drinks. And now I don't yawn much in the day unless I'm like tired
Yeah.
or and I don't have anything else. And so whenever I have the coffee, holy shit. I mean, I am like on it. It's awesome. So now I'm enjoying coffee a lot more.
Oh
Yeah.
my
So like I'm doing
God.
cheese, meat, eggs, fish. That's it.
And you're slowly introducing each thing back in because what you're doing really sounds like the elimination
That's
diet, like
exactly
we
what I'm
talked
doing. I'm not
about.
trying to do this.
Yeah.
I
Or an
might because I feel so fucking
anti-inflammatory
good.
diet.
Yeah, yeah, because
But
I'm feeling so good. I may just keep it this way, but I do miss a lot of foods. So that's
yeah.
basically what I'm doing. It was a desperate move that I didn't know anything about, and I just so happened to be right in my head in my
Yeah.
decision. And so it's been 3 weeks. I'm gonna see how long I can go before introducing stuff into my diet, and then I'm gonna start feeling those effects. I mean, I would imagine pretty strongly
Yes.
because you're not used to them and you're
Yeah.
not living with them
Yeah.
anymore.
Right.
So as soon as I have some sort of food or fruit or drink that fucks me up, my body's gonna let me know
Yeah.
it's fuck. So
Wow,
And
man.
make sure you're doing it sort of like one at a
one at a
time.
time,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, it's been
Man.
so crazy. I mean, it's been nuts. I really feel um I like I'm happy and like glad that I have that personality that made me say, you know what, like it's on me, not anybody else. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this myself, and took charge of it. And I'm just glad like it was like the right call. I mean feeling fucking great. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
Dude,
it's
that's
amazing.
been great.
awesome, man.
Working like at the convention this past weekend was my first show after this. I haven't felt like that in ever. It's been awesome.
Wow, dude.
hmm
That's so
Wow.
So,
inspiring.
so what's cool about it too is that um, in me sharing this with just my close family, like people at the studio have asked me about it. When it comes to like not my family, I'm like, I'm not telling you shit. You go research it, do your own thing.
Yeah.
I am not here to like preach about this, like this is the right way. So you go find out, you go figure it out, try it if you want to. That's all I'm saying. But with my close family, like my mom or Sabrina, who's honestly been dealing with a lot of medical issues since Emma was born, and it's been a really rough time for her. With them, I have been a little bit more try it, like a little bit more pushy.
Yeah.
So Sabrina hasn't started, but my mom's started. And I'm not even gonna get into the shit that she's experiencing, dude. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's nuts. And she's
Wow.
56.
Yeah.
She's been dealing with this for a while,
Big time.
big
Yeah.
time, for a long time. Not just like me. Like it's like she's been doing this for a long, long time, and she's tried different things, and the shit that she's dealing with or experiencing right now is amazing, and that makes me happy. Regardless of how you feel about what's good or what's not good, it's good for me. It's good for my mom, and I'm
Yeah.
happy as fuck.
Yeah.
That my mom's like calling me every day, telling me how she feels.
That's awesome,
It's
dude.
fucking awesome, mom.
Yeah. And if it ever stops working, you can always try
Yeah,
something
try
else.
something
You know?
else.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
not
or
like
figure out what it was that was hurting
Yeah.
you. You know, so
it's not like hopping on some medication that you're gonna have like crazy
I
withdrawals if you
know.
like stop taking it.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's where she was headed, man. And so like she's starting to like go to the doctors and have like shots in her knees and shots in her shoulders and like start like what's the next step after that is like pills and pain pills
You
and like
gotta
you
be
see what I'm
careful with
saying?
that
Like
stuff
it's
too,
just
because like
like
the pain pills are addictive,
you know what I'm
dude. I
saying,
don't know if
man?
you have like an addictive personality, but like that, like it kills people,
Yeah,
dude.
no, I definitely do. I
Yeah.
definitely do. So yeah, it's scary. So that's why I got home and I was like, it's not bad enough to where I'm like thinking like, oh, those are back there. Maybe I'll have one today. You know what I'm saying? But like, I'm sure if I like got into them, you know, for a little bit, yeah, I have that personality. I'll be like, oh yeah, I want another one right now.
Yeah,
Maybe
totally.
two, maybe three.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you gotta
Do
be
you
careful with
think
that shit,
like
dude.
after sort of like a near death experience? Because like in a way, I heard you on the phone, like you called me, and it
hmm
seemed like the way you sounded is
hmm
how I sounded a couple of years ago when
with your
I
back,
called you,
hmm
and I
with your
was
back, right?
with I
Everything.
didn't know what was going
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
on. And at that time, I was like, I canceled my appointments. I
hmm
told Kelly to cancel my
hmm
appointments because I thought I was dying.
hmm
And I remember calling you
Yes,
and being
yes, yes,
like,
yes.
I don't know what's going on. I tried
hmm
the elimination diet,
hmm
going to doctors.
hmm
I'm like, so the way you sounded
hmm
just reminded me a lot of like how I
Just
sounded, just
lost and
sort of like
desperate.
defeated. So
hmm
I kind of call it a near death experience when
hmm
you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe I have 5 years left. Who
hmm
knows?
hmm
Coming out of that, do you also feel like a new appreciation for not just life, but like the things that you can do
Yes.
and are able to do?
Yeah, no, definitely. These last 3 weeks, I've been more aware, more awake. I feel like I'm like taking more in, um, just because. And I don't know. Some people, it might be like, this motherfucker has arthritis, and he's like, act like treating it like it's like killing him. Well, it might not
Well,
be, but when you're in a situation like I am, where my kids are very little, we have a new home,
you
a
are the
new
provider for your
business.
family, yeah.
I am the
Mm-hmm.
sole provider for my family. If I don't do this, what else am I gonna do? And so it does feel you know, like the end for a second. And
Yeah.
so it's like
Yeah.
desperation and just like confusion and uh, a little let down by your body, by some like it's like your own vessel,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like fuck, like
And you
y-
went through the stages of grief pretty quickly too. Like
yeah,
you went through anger, you went through like
I oh
denial,
hell yeah,
anger,
hell yeah,
eventually
fast.
acceptance, it
Fast. And
sounds
I'm
like.
like that. I mean, I'm definitely wired like that. My emotions are just like too quick and too soon, but fuck it, get him out of the way. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I got him out of the way, man. And I was like, all right, let's put a plan in action. So, um,
Well, even if it's not like a literal near death experience, like you're about to die,
yeah,
when you're faced with, because tattooing is your whole life, dude, and it has been for a long
yeah,
time. Not your whole life, but like
yeah.
one of the biggest parts of
My
your life.
adult life. And I mean, that's like all, yeah, that's what shaped my life, really.
So when you're faced with something like
Mm-hmm,
that, where it's like I might have to stop
mm-hmm,
doing this,
mm-hmm,
whatever it is you're doing, that's
mm-hmm,
that's a traumatic experience, and
mm-hmm.
it's like a crossroads right there,
Yeah,
where you're like, I don't know if I can do this forever. So I can totally understand, even if you weren't like, I'm gonna die.
yeah,
It's like
It feels
still
like it's the
huge.
same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
yeah. So let me tell you how crazy it is and how like not everything's just a coincidence. I was doing a show in Jacksonville. Before this happened, it was
Hmm.
the last show I did, and I was in my booth and I was like at a corner booth, and so people kept coming up, and there was this lady that kept driving. She was in a scooter, like an older lady, and she kept driving by and driving by and driving by. And she would stare at my portfolio for a while and then stare at me and then leave and then come back. And so eventually, like I'm very talkative at conventions, but if they don't say anything, like I'm not gonna stop tattooing to say something. I'll wait till somebody says something, and then I'm like, I love talking. And so she wouldn't say anything, so she kept coming by, and I was like, I gotta say something to this lady.
You told her fuck off.
Yeah, I was like, fuck off, lady. Like, you're making me nervous back there with your whirly little car. No, she was like super sweet, and I said, hi, how are you? And so she was super nice. She came over to me and then she asked, how long have you been tattooing? And I said, I've been tattooing 13 years. I think it's been 13. And I said, I've been tattooing 13 years. And she said, and this all happened so fast. She looked at me, she said, oh, I tattooed for 40 years and I had the first female owned shop in, I think, in Jacksonville. So it's like she told me how long she tattooed. She told me who she was. I'm like, this is somebody important in the tattoo industry in this area.
Yeah.
And then right after that, she followed. But I had to stop because of my rheumatoid arthritis. And she does this behind the little barrier and goes like this and puts her hands in my face. And they're like this, bro. I mean, they're just like
Mm.
gone. And so she like put him in front of my face and telling me she had to stop tattooing because of that.
And this was before or after you found out you had
Before.
arthritis?
Before. And so she does this, and I had no response for that. My eyes got real big, and like I saw my life flash before my eyes, like with this lady telling me this, and I was just staring at her hands like wide eyed, bro. And I'm like, oh my god. And so I didn't know what to say, how to follow it up, and so she just like put him down, and she like kept talking, and I'm like, okay, it's nice to meet you. And then she was like showing me stuff that she had in her little car. She had a basket of things, and she was showing me a magazine and things that are like collector's items. Honestly, it was super cool. And I'm like, I took my gloves off. I'm very invested in this conversation with this lady, and so I'm like looking at the magazine, and I'm like, this is amazing. It's really nice meeting you. What a beautiful magazine. Like just very in tune with what she's showing me. And then she gives me the magazine, and I'm like, wow, this is super cool. And then I saw her that she kept driving around in her little car trying to sell books and magazines. And so this is, I don't know much about her, but if you're having to go to a convention and you don't have a booth there and you're trying to sell things, I mean, and I've seen this happen a few times at conventions with older tattooers selling DVDs, selling books, selling posters.
Mm.
It's sad, dude. And it's a, I mean, it's a reality that if you don't found other means of income or a way to like, make your career last, you don't know where you're gonna be when
Yeah.
you're older.
Yeah.
So that haunted me that day and until my doctor's appointment when I was like, are you fucking kidding me? It was so intense, dude.
Of
So
course, one had to happen
it
after
was
the
so,
other.
oh, it was so crazy. So I called you, called my sister, and then my sister's like, she was like very quiet, and I'm like, say something. Like I need you to say something right now. I was like super upset. And she was like, she was like, I'm so sorry. It's just like, I just had last week, like she said I had a little meltdown with Andrew, her husband, because her fingers are starting to curve a little bit.
Mm.
And so she was like, I had a meltdown with him about my mom and how her hands are starting to look crazy because of the arthritis, and now mine are starting to be a little sore. And so 1 week before I had to do this, they had already went through the process of like, let's research, what do we need to do, what do we need to buy, what do we need to change. So it's like, it's so crazy, man. So like she's like, so we're gonna go ahead and send you everything we found right now. And so it was nuts. And so like, just like, it's like positive or like negative but also positive, like how I instantly found that support that I was needing,
Wow.
from you, from my sister,
Yeah.
from my wife, like just, and from myself, like, so I didn't like just like completely just like give up right away. It
Yeah.
was so crazy how everything happened like like so fast.
Yeah.
And it's been
Mm.
3 weeks, bro, and I feel like
Yeah.
it's been like a long time
Yeah,
because of
dude.
how good I feel. Like changes like that take a long time, and it's been 3 weeks for me, and I feel so good. I mean, I'm telling you, like, I couldn't drive. I had to drive with my legs as straight as possible because my hips would be in pain. And I'm over here doing, bro, like, I work out, I snowboard, I work, I
Yeah.
play with I'm doing that shit through some pain. And,
You're
and,
34, dude.
and
You're
I'm
young.
34.
God damn.
Yeah, yeah, it was worrisome, scary, and I don't know. I'm not saying I'm in the clear. We'll see.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'm
I hope
taking
it
it as a
lasts. Yeah.
challenge. Like, I want to go back to the doctor, like, after doing what I've been doing, and I mean, I've been extreme. I'm like I said, I'm obsessive, so I'm obsessing over this right now. So I'm being very obsessive of, like, just taking this as a challenge, and trying to do as much as I possibly can, and see if like how much of a difference it's gonna make by the time I go to the doctor again. So
It really does sound like you were inflamed, like it's an inflammatory
yes.
disease
Hmm.
or something, and that is managed with like an inflammatory diet and medications. But that's what it. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I have no idea. Um, but it sounds like if you stick on an anti-inflammatory diet, then your
Yeah.
body's not gonna
Yeah.
like flare up
Yeah, no, I mean,
or as often.
that's what I've come to learn so far. So we'll
Yeah,
test it. I think it's been, I think
you're
it's,
gonna be just fine.
yeah, no,
You're figuring it
hmm,
out soon,
yeah,
right
blessing in
away.
disguise, honestly,
Yeah.
because everything that's happened, even after the symposium, like career changes, personal changes, health changes, um, there's everything's happening right now in my life all at once, and it's been pretty insane.
And this is
So.
like all within the span of like 3
Dude,
months.
3 months. It's
Yeah.
been a roller coaster, and it's kind of funny because I always pride myself on, like, being, like, really chill and laid back, no stress, just nothing worries me. I'm just, like, smooth sailing all the time. And so when I'm faced with stuff like this all at once, it's been like, okay, what do I do? But
Yeah.
it's good to know that I have what it takes in me to handle it, and just
Yeah.
make it
Yes,
through. So.
you
Well, and
do.
I think one thing that's important to note too is we talk about like mental health a
Mhm.
lot in the show and the importance of getting
Mhm.
help. And I feel like one thing that's becoming more common is for like it being more expected for or accepted for males to get help
Mhm.
because I feel like a lot of us when we're dealing with that shit we're like,
Yeah.
oh fuck, I don't need help or like I can get through it or it's not that bad or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I feel like that applies with the physical stuff too because
Yes.
it's like I fucking hate going to the doctor. If I'm sick,
Hmm.
she's like, "Oh, you should go to the doctor." I'm like, "No, I don't
No.
need to. I have to be like dying before I go to
Yeah.
the doctor."
Yeah.
And so for you to be like in
Hmm.
pain, like that kind of pain where you're crying for like years,
Hmm.
like I think that's an important anecdote to people out there that like it's okay to go to the
Yeah.
doctor to
Oh,
check it out. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. Not try to be so fucking tough. I just, like, tough it out. And the only person that I told this to would be Sabrina, but it wasn't like, hey, this is happening. What should I do? It was just complaining. I was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
complaining.
yeah.
I fucking hurt. Let's go. And like, my mom, it made me really sad. I mean, when I got off the phone with you, girl, I was like, I gotta let it out. I'm just gonna fucking cry it out. So I was, like, bawling, and then I started thinking about how much pain my mom has been in and how little I've done to check on her, to do something for her. You know what I'm saying? So that made me even more sad. I'm just like, I'm a piece of shit. Like, what, like how much pain I'm in at my age. Imagine how much pain she's in at her age.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And so that just made me super sad. And I was talking to my brother-in-law, and I was like, I can't fucking believe she wouldn't say anything to me. It's like she wouldn't say anything to anybody and let us know. And he's like, well, you didn't either. Like, you get it from her. Like, you guys don't
Yeah.
reach out for help.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
Totally.
been
And on the last episode you were talking about your dad's kind of the same way too, you know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we just put our head down and then just, I don't know, just battle it out, like, just make it through the storm type thing. And sometimes maybe it doesn't need to take us long, if you were to reach out for some help. So
Yeah.
it's been
And of
pretty
course you thought it
crazy.
was like a normal thing
I
because
really
I
thought it
even like
was.
you we would talk about you're like, yeah, I'm hurt. I'm like, yeah, I hurt all the time too. Like I get it.
And
But
I
I
think
never
hearing that,
realized like
yeah,
how much pain you're because
yes,
I mean, I haven't worked down forever, but I could lift,
right,
without hurting my shoulder
yeah.
and something like that. I had no idea. I thought you were just like in pain like me, because I'm also always like doing this and I'm
Well,
hurting, but
yeah.
I
Well,
had
and
no idea.
even at the symposium, we were like, yeah, I'm having to like work less because I'm in so much pain. I was like, damn, like I didn't think like it was anything crazy, but I'm
Bro,
like,
I
damn, it
know.
must be hitting
I
him
keep
like harder
thinking
than
about
most
just that
people.
one moment, like up there in front of all these people, like screaming, like, take care of your shit, because I'm fucking dying here. It's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
just thinking, just assuming
Well,
that everybody feels that way.
and
Yeah.
of course it is still
I had no
important
idea.
to, you know, like I'm sure that if you took more care of yourself, maybe it would be less bad, you know, but
Yeah.
that's, you know, it's not that that's not like it's not like it's not something to worry about,
Hmm.
but there's definitely levels to it. So
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe if somebody's out there and you're like crying when you bend your wrist, maybe
Go to
go to
the
the
doctor.
doctor. Yeah. Yeah.
Go to the doctor, but then also like just like learn, like know how to know your own body and learn things on your own and try things on your own and not just rely on somebody to tell you what to do
Right.
or how to treat it or buy into like what they think is best for you. You can take it and then maybe try it, but at the end of the day, it's just gonna be like you,
Yeah.
like what you do for your own self. And so I'm just really glad I had that like moment of like I like a cold turkey, like switch the switch on and off, type thing, and it sucked, but I got through it, and I'm telling you, man, like it's like if I like just feeling like this for the last 3 weeks, I'm like, damn, I could have been feeling like this a long time ago, but it's okay. I'm here now, feeling
Yeah.
fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
so proud
it's
of
That's
you.
tight.
awesome, man. Well,
It's
All the
so
pain
I'm
is
so
awesome.
gone.
glad you're doing better. Yeah, like I said, I do remember you mentioned like arthritis, but I didn't know
Yeah,
what you were going through or the
yeah,
extent of it. I just know
yeah.
she said
And
that you were going through some shit. I was
yeah,
like,
and
oh
I
yeah.
still don't know. Like I said, I still have to go and see what's going on. It might even be one of those things like, well, it wasn't really that, but it doesn't fucking matter. All I know is that I was in pain. Now I'm not. Something was happening, and now it's either not happening or happening less.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters to me. So, regardless of what these doctors say. So, I'm going to go get the shoulder looked at because I think that might be like an old injury from when I used to lift a lot, and it just never went away. And I think with all of this getting worse, that shoulder got a
Yeah.
little fucked up, but I mean, even that pain has subsided a lot, but that's the only thing that I have remaining is this pain right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything else is gone.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, it's been
And
awesome.
if you ever feel bad again, I hope you don't have that same like doomsday scenario in your
Hmm.
head, that it could just be a little flare up that happens sometimes when
Hmm.
you have an anti-inflammatory something going on,
Hmm.
and that it'll subside on its own and it'll become less and less, especially when you take care of yourself and
Yeah,
all of that.
yeah. I think that's what's cool about this is like, regardless of all of that, what I've maybe learned about myself in the past 3 weeks is of more value than anything else. I think maybe I learned some shit about like how I can handle certain situations or how I can take control of certain things in my life to better myself and not just myself but those around me. Like my house right now has been flipped up because of me, and that's how cool it has been to have such a supportive family that
Mm.
you know Sabrina and the kids are all going through very hard changes, and I understand it's hard for them, but we've cut out all the bullshit. My kids are eating, they still get the little snacks that kids get, but they're eating super healthy. I threw out all the bullshit we had in the pantry. Like it's a hard lifestyle, it's a hard way to live, but it's possible. And I feel like I've always felt like I'm a good dad, but this feels like I'm actually being a good father, taking care of my kids' health. And so it's been a good change for everyone all around. It's been cool.
Especially when you feel for a moment that you're out of control of something, to take some of that control back, I'm
Hmm.
sure feels really,
Yeah.
Yeah,
really good.
yeah, it's been dope.
I'm
So
so
yeah, we'll
proud of
see. I mean,
you.
I'm excited. We'll see what another 3 weeks of this does. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
I
awesome,
can
man.
work longer. I can work like pain free, and then the next day I'm like feeling good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
That's awesome.
I have like a cutoff. Like I won't tattoo past like, or try to not tattoo past like 10 or 10:30. Even though if I was home, I'll be awake past that point. If I tattoo past that time, the next day, I would be worthless. I would feel like I got fucked up the day before,
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
hangover.
Yeah.
So it'd be like a hangover type feeling and pain, and I would just be like just not able to do anything.
Mm.
and it sucked because I was not really present the day after a long day with my family, and I had a day not long ago. I tattooed till 2 in the morning, and I just wasn't stopping. I was like, okay, it's 1:30. I'm just gonna keep going, and I just kept going. Went home, got some sleep, woke up, ready to fucking go, man. And that's
That's
never
awesome,
happened
man.
to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Ah, this is great." So
Yeah.
yeah, isn't sick.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's been sick.
Yeah.
So yeah, my work. Hopefully that now the changes that I've been making, even through y'all, or like through the seminar I had, all of those changes, I feel like combined with good health and good mental health, hopefully will start to steer my career in a really good direction now.
Yeah.
So
Totally. That's awesome,
I'm
man.
doing more shows. Like I'm like booking more shows, and
Yeah.
like opportunities are coming my way.
How was
It's
Motor
kind of
City?
crazy,
It looked
bro.
fun, dude.
It was sick.
You
It's our
did a
first
sick
time.
piece. I
Yeah, thank
fucking
you.
loved
Thank
that
you. It was so much
tattoo.
fun. I invited
Which
myself
one
on
did you? Which one was the one that you did there?
the one what?
Which piece did you do at
It was
Motor
a
City?
tree with like a like it was like a Arizona kind of like curling tree
The
thingy.
flowers on the bottom.
So
Okay. I've never
flowers.
seen it. I'll have to check it
Yeah,
out.
it
But
was
yeah.
fun. It was a fun show.
Yeah.
You're
And
one
I
of
like
those
Detroit.
artists that like can take whatever and make it look so
Thank
sick.
you.
I
Thank
can
you.
I always think of Jade's hand where her hand is just a nest with a few eggs
I
in
love that
it.
tattoo.
It's sick.
And it's the sickest tattoo
Yeah,
ever.
I love that
You
tattoo.
could take a tree
Hmm.
and make it the sickest tattoo ever.
Thank you.
And I'm always like, when people are like, yeah, I want a tree tattoo, or at a convention, yeah, I want a tree. I'm like, like as an example, trees never won a best of show. Trees,
Mhm.
you make like winning tattoos with, you could
Well,
make that with
thank
a
you.
tree, you could make it with a nest egg. Like you're, I think I told you this, you're one of the greatest
Thank
artists in
you.
the
Thank
world.
you, Deanna.
And I really, truly believe
Thank
that.
you.
And that's just
Yeah.
an example.
I had stenciled it. Well, I carry my stencils now with me to shows, which has been a cool thing to do instead of getting ready at shows. And so I had all sizes, and I picked the one, and then I thought about you at your presentation, where you asked a very valid question where I never thought to ask myself was if you've already been not at the top, but if you've already been like kind of established, doing good work for like years and years and years, like what's next? And I never like asked myself that question, and I keep doing the same shit over and over again. And then you were like, maybe the next thing you can do is like go bigger, do bigger projects. And although this was only a half sleeve, I was like focusing on the full outer arm. And so I got another stencil that was bigger. I'm like, okay, let's just go bigger, see what happens. And so I went bigger, and it looked better. And I feel like once the outer arm is done, from a distance, it'll look more impressive than the stuff that I'm used to making.
Yeah.
I do like like a lot of small things, a lot of detail. It's cool, but I do need to change it up a little bit. So
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of like a loose rule of thumb with realism is kind of like bigger is better. And that's,
yeah,
and I used to handle like a lot more inquiries. And so that's something that I would always tell people.
hmm
And especially when they're like, they're like, I don't want to go too big. I want like half of my,
hmm
half of a half sleeve. And it's like, yeah, but if the artist goes bigger, it's more dynamic. They can make
hmm
those bigger elements more detailed and everything like that. And it's going to look
yeah,
better. Yeah.
yeah. So I tried it there, and I don't know, I just need to I need to get on my iPad more. This is something that everybody needs to do,
Ooh,
just
design a full back piece.
yeah,
Dude,
I know.
a
It's
landscape
just,
back piece would be
neck
and
to
pretty
butt.
sick.
oh, you know what's crazy is that I was not booking back pieces or front panels because of the pain I knew I was gonna be in. So
Wow.
now I can open myself to start working on these areas again that I completely wrote off because of the pain I was in. That's the only reason why you only see me post legs and arms. And even legs and arms kill me sometimes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now mm, I'm I'm gonna get the bed that you use, start standing up when I can to tattoo. Like so many changes that I can definitely start introducing those big things to my to my work again. So
Yeah.
Oh
there you
I
man.
feel
go.
like that's such a subtle flex right there. Oh, I was saying no to back pieces
Yeah.
and front panels. Like, do you know how fucking hard those are to
Yeah,
book
I know to
to
come
get
by.
inquiries?
No,
Yeah.
there was plenty of huge projects, and I would just be like, nah, I don't want to deal with the pain from it. So
Jade, we were just talking shit about you.
always,
Oh, we're talking about how badass your hand tattoo is.
Can
and
Jade
she shows the other
Jade
hand,
show her
the
hand
blank
in
one.
the camera real
Maybe.
quick?
Only one way
Jade,
to
can
find
you
out.
just do this to the camera? Yeah.
So youtube.com/Edom
Just
Body
do it
Art
right here.
Studios.
Look at that. No.
We're just standing right here the whole time.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's so cool, man.
Yeah, it's been cool, man. It's been awesome.
Now I want to see a knee to neck piece. Back
Yeah.
of the knee to
Yeah,
neck.
that's what I need to do.
Or
So I was
front.
saying like that's everybody needs to do that. I feel like technology has made us a little lazy, and we just kind of take the easy way out. But you just need to. I need to get on there and then just like sketch out my ideas instead of trying to find photos and like it's like you're skipping steps. It's like you're trying to find 4 photos, put them together, and if they don't go together,
Have
then
you
what?
messed with AI yet?
I have. I have.
Okay.
I like it. I like it. I just haven't really thought of that for this purpose, but sometimes, not every time, if I'm thinking of how to design a certain piece, I won't worry about pictures yet, and I'll just get like a sketch, like a pencil tool on iPad, and I'll just do shapes like an arm or a leg, whether it's like oval shape for a face or
Yeah.
triangles for trees, things like that. So I feel like I need to do that just to get a little bit more
Thumbnail
creative
designs.
and then
Yeah.
start bringing in elements to fit right there, so
So did you used to do more back pieces and stuff like that?
yeah, I mean, a lot bigger projects for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, dude, I scroll down my Instagram a lot because I like the shit that I used to do more, and I'm like, I think I got worse. And I look at some of the shit that I was doing, I think 2017 to like 2019 or 20, and I look at these pieces and I'm like, if I had to do this again right now, it would be different, obviously, but I don't think I could do it the way this came out. And
Well,
I got away from that. I want to make it back to that.
and we kind of touched on this on the last episode, but I feel like when you've been fucking cold for so long, you've been, in my opinion, like one of the best black and gray realism artists in the industry since I got into it, which was like 6-7 years ago
1000%.
at this point. And so when you're doing work that good, it's really hard to do it differently or to keep expanding on like
It
what
is.
you're
It's
doing.
hard. It's hard. Yeah. And so, like I said, you start taking the easy way out because you're just used to like, picture, put them together, good to go. Which sometimes that's cool. Just like we were talking about earlier, just plain, straight to the point realism. But that can only get you so far nowadays.
I feel like as a realism artist, it's so because in a sense you're copying photos, and so you can only make it like so realistic. And I feel like now with all these awesome talented tattooers getting into the industry, I feel like with realism especially, you've got to do something that separates you from just everybody that can copy a photo. Because nowadays there's a shit ton of artists out there that can copy a photo super
Yeah,
well.
there is.
So I feel like it's tough to just keep
Yeah, it's
keep
it's
evolving
pretty
that.
few, and I always think of them when I'm like designing things, and I may not end up doing it, but I feel like I keep going to their Instagrams to be like, come on, one of these days you gotta switch it up, and then I don't, but I have my favorites in my head that I'm like they have their own styles and they're doing such cool shit, so yeah, man, I don't know, maybe
Yeah.
like I said, maybe all these changes that have been happening lately are leading up to that, and I'm pretty confident that they are. So
And I feel like too, as an artist or as a creative, like I feel like, especially when you've been doing it for so long, normally you have enough energy to do the job, right? You've got enough energy to do what somebody's asking you to do it at a really high level. But to innovate, I think takes another level of creativity and like mental energy because you only have so much too. So, and especially if you're worried about like being in pain all the time, or if that's in the back of your head, like, dude, I don't know how much longer I can keep tattooing. Like, hopefully now that you don't have to worry about that shit,
yeah,
maybe that's just gonna like give you more creative space to come up with new shit
I
and
feel like
keep
it
pushing
can.
yourself,
I feel like it will, because I mean that's part of like also like how I plan some pieces is like maybe I want to make this as easy as possible on me so that I don't come out of this session hurting more
Totally.
than I was a week before, and so I would make my sessions like a little easier on myself, and
Yeah.
that's hurting the product,
Yeah, but actually, the first time that I reached out to you to get tattooed by you, I wanted a back piece because
No
I saw
shit.
because I saw like your back pieces and I talked to her about it. I was like,
Oh,
those are fucking
damn.
badass. And then I was like, well, Quinn's like my favorite black and gray realism tattoo artist, so I think I want his work in like someplace I can see it, which is why I decided to go with the foreign.
Yeah.
But at the time, I
Yeah,
was seeing
man.
badass back pieces.
And I didn't do all that many, but I did do some, and I was doing front panels and chest pieces, and yeah, I go back and look at them and I'm like, damn, those were
So
sick.
I think this is powerful right here because I talk about it all the time. Like people are going to ask for what they see. And I wonder all the time, like, how do you get people to book back pieces? Because it's such a commitment,
Hmm.
time wise, money wise. But if you notice, like there are artists that do like a lot of back pieces. Like Darren Hall's a great example. Like he's
Yeah,
got a bunch of back pieces on his
yeah,
page. Carlos Torres,
right.
ton of back pieces, ton of
Oh,
front panels. And
exactly.
I think just even if you can do one,
Hmm.
two of them, I
Yeah,
think people see that and they're like, that's
yeah,
who I want. My back, Robbie Latos. I
yeah.
saw him doing fucking badass back pieces. I was like, that
Hmm.
looks so cool, especially with his
Yeah,
textures when you just blow it up as big as possible.
yeah,
So that's what made me pull the trigger. And I was like, looking at all these back
exactly.
pieces, and he does them like really regularly. Like
Hmm.
like when he did mine, he had a bunch in progress.
Yeah,
And so I think part of
yeah.
booking that stuff is just doing it.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little ahead because nowadays, I mean, it's been so long since I've done them. I can repost them for one.
Totally.
So I can like repost them and be able to book a few. But for artists out there who are having a hard time switching from the walk-in small tattoo stuff to like, I want to do bigger stuff, I want to do more custom things, you may not have that luxury, but that's where the you have to be willing to put in the like sacrifice a little bit of your time and sacrifice a little bit of your income if you can to have to be able to find a client, which is not hard, that has the time, that trusts your vision, and that is willing to sit with you as long as you want to do a back piece or a front panel or a leg sleeve, whatever you need to do. Make sure you get good photos of it, a good video, and that's like your new business card that you're gonna present to people on your Instagram to be able to do these things. So
Totally.
it's really easy for people. It's just that we get pretty locked in and like, well, this is how much I charge, and I don't want to work past this time, and I don't want to not make money today.
Yeah.
And so then you end up doing the same shit that you've been doing
Well, and
for
I think
however many years.
yeah. And I think the other part of that equation is like those big pieces are so valuable from
Hmm.
a business perspective because it's a big sale if you think about it like that
Hmm.
way. Like if you can do a back piece, if your day rate's whatever, 2,500,
Hmm.
it's a $15,000 sale
Hmm.
versus a $2,500 sale if you do a one-shot tattoo on one client.
Hmm.
So then you also get to look at from the perspective of even if you do a discount, you're also increasing the demand for your services
Hmm.
because you've got one client now that's booked for 6, 8 days
Hmm.
that other people like want those spots too.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah. And they're out there, but the problem is that artists that are not doing this yet want to magically book these people paying full price for work they're not doing yet, that they can't show yet. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, I mean, they got to put a little bit of like, there's a few stepping stones before you get to that point, and they're
It's how
not hard
bad
to
do you
put.
want it?
Yeah, yeah. So it's
yeah,
not,
totally.
they're not hard to lay down. I mean, there's just, like I said, just a little bit of time, a little bit of your income. You're doing what you like. You're doing what you have fun doing anyway. If
It's
you had
probably
a,
a good client too if they're gonna get a
yeah,
badass
exactly.
huge piece from you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So once you do a few of those, it'll be really easy to find more.
One of my favorite quotes is that we dictate the market,
Hmm.
not the other way around.
Hmm. Absolutely.
So at some point you can only do what people ask of you. But guess what? If you start doing stuff and putting it out there,
Hmm.
that's what people are gonna start asking for because they're like, that's badass. And especially if you have an idea for like, I didn't know what I wanted for my back. I just knew I wanted a back piece.
Hmm.
So when I saw Robbie posting a bunch of it, and there was one too, you probably seen it, it's like um, like kind of like a dead like Spartan or something. It's
Yes. Yeah,
fucking
yeah, yeah,
badass
yeah,
when
yeah.
I saw
Hmm.
that, and that's
Yeah.
what made me like, all right, that's
Yeah.
the dude I'm gonna
Yeah. No,
get a
he's
back piece
sick,
from.
man.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He was out in Motor City, but he seems like a quiet guy. So I went and stood by his booth.
He's an
And
interesting dude. Yeah.
he was into
yeah.
his work. So I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
it
so
was so
funny.
sick. It was awesome.
And I think of this all that because I tell artists, I'm like, put your face on your Instagram. Like people want to know who they're getting tattooed by.
He
And,
doesn't seem like the kind
no,
that
he
would care
doesn't
to
very
do
often.
that.
And he specifically told me like when he was getting tattooed, he's like, I don't want to put my face out there because he's like, I like people not knowing who I am.
Oh,
Which
shit.
whatever.
Yeah.
That has its place
Yeah,
too.
I
But
wouldn't have known.
it was so funny. So when I got to the appointment, I didn't know who he was, and there's just this dude
Oh.
taping this whole back piece together. I was like, "Hey man, are you Robbie?" And so that's funny to
That's kinda
not
crazy.
know who you're getting tattooed by and like making this big investment. And
Yeah.
so for me, I'd seen his work, so it didn't matter. But that
That's
could
kinda
be a
crazy.
deal breaker, dude. I mean, especially
It
if you're just deciding on who you want to spend that
Yeah.
much time with. Yeah.
Or people like Taylor, like if somebody shows up and like, oh, she doesn't have any tattoos, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Which would be insane if that ever happened.
Another funny part about that story that I think about a lot is like when I got in, I hadn't seen the design or anything like that. He was
Yeah.
taping it together to size it.
Yeah.
And he was like, this is what you're getting.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool.
That's
And
crazy.
I never changed shit, but I'm
Yeah.
like, cool. And so he was tattooing me, and I asked him, I was like, so is that how you do it with all your clients? Like, you just show up and you're like, hey, this is what you're getting. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, what would happen if somebody like was like, I don't want that? He's like, I'd probably just tell him to leave. But he explained it in a really good way. He was like, look, when people inquire with me and they ask me to do something within, they give me the subject matter. It's as an expert, I'm as an artist, I'm going to design something that I think is going to be the best tattoo, the best representation of that subject matter. So I'm doing my best to give them what I think is going to be the best. So if they get there and they don't want that, it's probably not a good
that
fit.
can throw an artist off so hard. I mean, it sucks because if I wake up ready to do this, just like ready to kill this piece, and then the client is like, that's not what I want, I almost want to be like, we might have to try this another day because you just brought me from up here to down here, and now it feels like a job.
It's
and,
tough, dude.
you
Yeah,
start
it's
taking
tough.
shortcuts,
Yeah.
and maybe you're not gonna actually kill that piece. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And I mean, and even if you like Deanna designs with the client, Taylor designs with the client, and a lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes like Deanna will design something based on like what they just told them. She'll be like, all right, this is what I came up with. And they're like, oh, I don't want that at all.
Yeah.
And then that's when she's like,
Oh,
okay,
that's
well,
tough.
fuck, tell me what you want. And
Oh,
they're
that's
like,
tough.
I want this and this and this, which, and that's more of a client thing. Like,
Yeah,
don't do that
that's
if
tough.
you're a client. But
That's tough.
yeah, it's a delicate balance, and I think it's a skill to like talking people into cool stuff or taking somebody's ideas that like you don't think might be as cool and then making them cool, like she was talking about with like the bird's nest. Like, that's not like a cool idea, but that's like unconventional. So
It
like
is.
so another artist might be like, I don't really know how that's going to look, like I'm not going to take that on. And I feel like Sogdi is like a great example of this, but she'll take like the most not ridiculous ideas, because
Just
like
off
every
the
idea is
wall,
valid,
kinda
but I'm
crazy.
like, I have no idea how that could look cool. And like, sure enough, like
Yeah?
she makes it like look cool.
Nice.
Like one of my favorite pieces she did, the reference was like, it was like this line drawing of like a skeleton juggling its heads. It's kind of, I don't know, it looked like I don't know, something you'd see on a shirt or something like that. And she did this badass black and gray realism half sleeve of like all these skulls, and I was like, dude, that right there, like how many artists can do that?
Yeah,
Like, take
yeah.
something that's like,
They would have just
I don't know
they
how
would have
this is-
just copied like the idea and then like, oh, this is what I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, so
and then
I
you're
think
gonna
that's
get
a-
more requests for that
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Then
totally.
they have sleep.
Yeah. So I think that's a skill too.
So when I went and got my leg done by Ivano and Daniel Rocha at the same time, I had like 3 days. I had one day with Daniel, and he was gonna start the outside of my leg, but then I had 2 days with Ivano because I wanted that one to be finished. And so I met him on the day I was getting tattooed by Daniel. He's like, hey, it's nice to meet you. So what do you want tomorrow? And I was like, well, man, I'm hoping we can do like a not Day of the Dead, but like the Chicana girl face with like the clown makeup, because he does a lot of them. And so I said that's what I wanted, and his face, I mean, dude, he looks so annoyed and just like, oh my god. And I went, or what do you think?
something else. Yeah.
I was like, I'm only telling you that because you post a lot of that. So there it is. Like, you post a lot of something, people are gonna ask for more of that. So he was posting a lot of it. I'm guessing he was at the tail end of like, okay, this is getting old. So that's what I asked for. And I was like, whatever, man. I mean, just some girls' faces. I mean, I'm just saying that because you post that a lot, and I thought you might enjoy it. But if you don't enjoy it, let's do something else. So what do you think? And he said, just get here tomorrow. Like, just make sure you show up tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay. So I just showed up tomorrow, like the next day. And yeah, I love the design, like 2 badass faces, like a crown of thorns, and love it. Love my tattoo, which, funny story though. So, when we look for girls' faces, we're just looking for like angle, lighting. Like, we're not worried about who they are, nothing like that. Unless it's like people know who Taylor Swift is, for example. You're not going to use a portrait of Taylor Swift.
Right. Right.
For the most part, it's models and just Yeah,
Or
really just
AI now.
yeah,
Yeah.
AI, and they might be somebody, but you don't really know
Yeah.
as long as it's not somebody that's very very well known. And so I got the two faces. Fast forward a few years, and I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, with family at the boardwalk, and we go into this Payless, and I'm just kind of walking around, and then I go to leave, and the guy at the register screams to I was walking out the door, he screams at me, he's like, "Hey, I love your tattoo." And I was walking out, I said, "Oh, thanks." He was pointing at my leg, and then he said, "I love her." And I stopped, and I was like, "Which one?" Because I have two faces. And he's like, "The one on the bottom, I love her." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, she's really pretty." And she was like, I love her stuff." And I'm like, "What stuff? Like what?" And he said, "Do you?" He was, dude. We had like this weird like what's happening moment.
Yeah.
And he said, "The girl that on the bottom, like, do you know her?" I'm like, "No, who is that?" And he said, "It's Sade." And like I didn't know who Sade was, and ever since I'm like, I listen to her music, and I'm like, I'm a big fan now or whatever.
That's
That
so
I don't
funny,
even know
man.
what's her name, but whatever. But he was like, "That's Sade," and I'm like, I don't know who the fuck that is, bro. Like,
Which one
yeah, it's.
is
I'm not gonna
it?
show it. I'll show you later. But it's like I have a portrait here,
Yeah.
and then one big one down
It's
here.
the
And
big.
so it's a bit one at the bottom, and she's got big full lips and just like beautiful. And then I went to look it up, and I found the portrait, and Ivana's from Italy,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
wouldn't. I don't think he would know who she
Yeah.
would be.
That's
She's like
so
a
funny,
you
man.
know R&B artist that's been around for a while, but not to like Beyonce level. So like if you don't know her, you don't know her.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
so I have a celebrity portrait that I know about. So
Yeah.
That's
That's
so
so funny,
funny.
man. Yeah. I've got so many girl faces on me, probably like
yeah,
6. And people are like,
Same.
I've got one that I know who this is.
yeah,
But
yeah,
people are like, "Oh, who is that?" I'm like,
yeah,
I have no idea.
yeah. Same here. And there's been like two more after that I've like while scrolling for clients, I've run into them, and I'm like, oh, that's my tattoo right there.
Yeah.
But thankfully, I've gone to badass artists who have done some other crazy shit around there, so it's just not the portrait by itself.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Well, that was, what you said about him getting annoyed at clown faces and stuff. Or not clown faces or clown makeup.
Yeah, it was like makeup. I don't know what they're called. Yeah.
But
clown.
actually, so when I was getting tattooed by Robbie, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm sick of people asking me for faces and skulls." And in my head, like I'm a tattoo collector, and so
That's what you
I
want.
recommend
That's
this to
what I would
everybody.
want.
Like ask for what they do, like ask for their shit.
Yes.
And so I think he likes my piece, but
Yeah.
and he's done a bunch since then. So I don't know.
What
Maybe he
else would
figured it out.
do? I mean,
Well, and I explained to him, I was like, well, from the client's perspective, like that's what I just think that you want to do because that's what you do.
Right.
And there's got to be some point of like where it flips because like Deanna's like getting like she's done so many flowers that that's not like her favorite thing to do anymore. So like she's taken on like a lot less requests for
Yeah.
flowers. So
Which makes flowers now a little bit more exciting now that I don't do
Yeah.
them as
yeah, that it's
often.
not as often. But I don't know. I feel like that's tough to juggle as a client because
ah,
like I said, I always recommend to people like ask for what they do, but I don't know. I'm sure there does get to a point where it's like,
that's
but maybe I feel like if you've got to that level where people are like really seeking out your work, like you can probably afford to post that a little bit less
Yeah.
and like post more like
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
different stuff.
If you're posting that over and over again, then you can't really be like, I'm sick of this shit. Like,
Yeah.
it would be like a hard switch where you stop posting for a while, and you're just like trying to talk your clients into doing whatever you want, and then have like 10, 15 photos of shit that you've already done you haven't posted, and then just like be able to like post them every
Yeah.
week to where people are like, oh, this is all he does now. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That's
Yeah.
the only way.
Well, and I mean, the way we kind of did it with Deanna is like we open our books supposed to be quarterly. It's every 6 months or so.
Yeah.
But like we just accept a lot less requests of flowers now. She still gets a ton, but we just
Yeah.
like accept less and less. And then we also have been getting less and less because she posts it.
Yeah.
less often.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, so what's your kind of schedule like now? And then if you're cool with talking about it, you kind of hinted last time that like maybe your inquiries are slowing down a little bit. I think that's just kind of like a trend in
Yeah.
tattooing right now. So do you want to speak to like kind of like what your schedule is, and maybe we can talk about some ways to combat that too, because I think a lot of tattooers
Yeah.
are wondering.
Yeah. I love talking about my process because me, like, I'm sure every other person thinks my process is sick. Like, I love my process and it's so easy, and we've been doing it for a long time.
Your booking process?
Like, yeah, just like, yeah, everything from booking to the tattoo itself. But we also do, I haven't done the open and closing books in a long time, like years. But after the symposium and because of what the rut I was going through, where, yeah, I wasn't getting many requests, um, it was kind of getting scary. But the good thing was that while I was going through this rut, I had my months
Tattooing less and less. Yeah.
booked out. So it was like impending doom that was coming my way.
Yeah.
I didn't actually get to the point where I couldn't book or I couldn't work, but it was getting to that point. And I'm like, there's nobody to book. And I don't have that many months booked anymore. So we're like stressing every day. And then thankfully seminar and symposium happened. And then all these things in my life started happening. So I was like, I'm going to go back to the books open, books closed thing. I
You
feel
got to
like it
keep in mind
helps.
too, the symposium was in December, which is like kind of
Yeah.
notoriously like the holidays are kind of just a
Very
little bit
slow.
slower for inquiries
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah. And so we did that again. And then when we opened them to book, the first the first few days I looked at Sabrina and I was like, well, don't you all come at once? Like there was no inquiries at all. And we're like trying to book until June or something like that.
And
And
how
I
did,
didn't have enough to book a month.
and how did you promote it, like on Instagram?
And so I didn't know. I honestly didn't freak out. I didn't do anything. I
No, but
just
like when you announced that your books were,
yeah,
oh, okay.
yeah, pretty much exactly like that. I was like, big announcement, books open, whatever, and then nothing. And I'm like, oh God, is she stressing? And I'm like, it's okay, it's all right. Yeah, if all else fails, we'll go on a vacation, whatever. And then I don't know what happened, and just out of nowhere, it fixed this. It corrected itself, and then we booked how we like to book, which is, um, I don't know, 3 to 4 months at a time, 5 months. That's how we like to do it. It's more manageable. So we just book them, no deposit. We're just like, we just book you. If you want to show up, show up. If you don't want to show up,
You don't take a deposit?
it's my day off. I'm just chill. And I've
Really?
never had a no show in years. I have not had a no show, or if it's a cancellation, it's soon enough to where we can feel it.
Wow.
So I
Wow.
love, like, not just look.
That's bold.
I'm clean. I'm like, I owe you anything. I don't feel bad. I'm just like, I'll take the day off if I need it. And I have a goal every month of how many tattoos and how much income I'd like every month. And as long as I meet that, if I have a no show, then I kind of like plan ahead, like adjust for that to meet my goal every month. I meet my goal every month, and or try to go above in case the next month is
Yeah,
a little slower. At the
Yeah.
end of the year, it's like a good average.
Yeah.
And that's how I treat every month. And so we book you, whether it's 1 day, 2 days appointment, or multiple throughout the next 4 to 5 months. And just people show up, man. We're very, I saw on the way here a little reel from, I don't know his name, I Shine.
Yeah. Yeah. Shine.
Shine, that's what he goes by. So I haven't met him. I just found him on Instagram, and I love his videos. And the last video I watched on the way here it basically was talking about how communication is key, and it really is, regardless of the what you're trying to do, what your process is, what you're trying to get your clients to do. Everything starts with really good communication, and that's something that I do pride myself in with how I handle it, and
Totally.
how I've taught Sabrina to handle my books, because she's the one that does my books. We're very thorough, we're very informative, we're nice, we're transparent, just very good communication from the beginning. And people book, all their questions are answered. There's no guessing, or no just the answers up in the air on how many sessions or how much money I'm going to spend. There's none of that. So people know what's up, and they feel comfortable, and they just show up,
And
man.
that reduces like so many like potential issues that you have with clients.
Exactly.
Like I feel like the best way to solve that is just clear communication
Yeah,
from the
yeah,
get-go.
yeah.
And so you asked me about starting an email list. Is that something that you did?
I did. So I have a good got a good list of newsletter, like my new newsletter now. When I added it to my form at the end, It's like if you would like to
You can opt
subscribe,
in.
and yeah,
Yeah.
man, it's on there, and I haven't had to use it yet, but at least it's there for when there's cancellations, trips, anything really. So thank you for that. That's
Yeah, totally.
yeah, I'm
And
excited
and I
about
talked
that.
about this in the symposium in my seminars, but I think it's one of the most important things for every artist to have an email list.
It is.
Yeah, and
I
it's
never thought about it.
and like remember Instagram went down the other day. It
Hmm.
was like down for
Yeah, yeah,
like the
yeah.
morning or something like that.
Oh, imagine the long list you could have.
Yeah, imagine
Thousands
the
of
list that you can
contacts.
have, and but I think it's a good reminder to artists that like you don't own your Instagram. That's not yours.
Exactly.
But if you have an email list, and also like the people that subscribe to your email list, they're probably going to be like
Yeah.
better potential leads to book appointments.
Yeah, that's so true.
And so I think, a lot of these artists are like worried about slow season. I think there's a couple ways to combat that. One, start an email list now
Yeah.
if you haven't already, because
Yeah.
it's always good to have.
Yeah.
That's how we book all of her appointments is through her email list.
Mhm.
We'll announce that like her books are opening, but people have to be on the email
Mhm.
list to like get in with it.
Mhm.
And then two, like a lot of artists are like, oh fuck, my reach is way low, my engagement is way low. So like if you post books open and
Yeah.
your Instagram is not doing that
So
good,
to rely
it
on
might
just
only get
that.
out to 10,000 people,
Yeah, or less.
which is like
Yeah.
that's not
Especially
good.
like me, because I don't like putting a lot of like stuff like hard posts on my feed on my timeline.
Yeah.
I hate it,
Yeah.
and so I put it on my story. So that's only gonna be seen by a small amount of people in 24 hours, and after that, it's done.
Totally.
And I just don't like posting like hard posts. So, dude, it's very smart to do it, and um, and I know it works because in those months that I was like, holy shit, we have like nobody to book. What I had to do out of not desperation, I wasn't desperate, but like okay, I need to do something here. Was as tattoo artists, we're not gonna reach out to you to tattoo you. You
Yeah.
shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
But I had to do that with clients I knew hadn't finished their appointments because bro, I was like, holy shit, what are we gonna do? And so I had to manually scroll, find them, and then email them like a really like professional like would you like to book before we get booked up, which at the time was made up, but now it's real because I was able to
Totally.
book up, but I was
Totally.
just making shit up, So I'm
Totally.
like, would you like to book, finish your piece? And dude, most of them were like, oh yeah, I do have an unfinished tattoo, let's book it. And they
Well,
would never reach out to you.
and so we talked about this last time too, but like people have such short attention spans nowadays, and so that's why I always recommend like posting a lot, because you got to remind people that you exist, dude. Because like, and especially if it's like a non-visible place, like if your back's not finished. I've told this story before, but like, I went a long time before like getting my back like mostly done to where I'm like, all right, it looks finished enough to like going back and finishing it. So like. But if you've got an artist that's like posting or like
It
I
makes
wouldn't
you-
always recommend like reaching out to your clients, but
Yeah.
like sometimes you just got to remind people. Man.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
oh yeah, shit, yeah, I
Yeah.
want to finish that.
Yeah,
It's
no,
like-
I would have never done it on Instagram. That's a little too much. So we did
No,
it,
totally, totally, yeah.
email, like if you want to book, that's cool. And yeah, most people wanted to. So that's when it was happening around the same time. And I'm like, man, this newsletter, great idea. So
Yeah.
like I said, I haven't used it yet, but now it keeps building up, and then I'll be able to announce more things through them.
And I think the most important thing with that is I always say like social media, like you should look at it like a funnel, like, and especially if you have a booking link or something in your bio that you're getting people to sign up for your email list. Like I want to get as much reach as possible on social media so I can funnel that down into an email list, because that's like the moneymaker right there. Like those are the high quality clients. You don't have to worry about like, oh fuck, like 10% of my audience is going to see this. Like when you send an email, like you'll see like 60, like 2/3, 70% of the people open that email. Like it's just a way higher hit rate. So I think it's super important for every artist to do.
Yeah, I think so, man. So yeah, that's how we do it, man. And like, so yeah, no deposits, no anything. And then my process for my tattoos, which I try to get my artists at the studio to like follow a little bit and then shape it into their own. I hate, one of my pet peeves is seeing people be unprepared. Like I hate being unprepared. I talked about that at the symposium in my presentation. It's like there's nothing that looks worse than being unprepared. No matter how good the work you do, you just don't want to give that kind of experience to your client, showing up and like I know that what you do, it wouldn't be like this, but I've seen it to when people show up like, so what do you want? I'm like, bro, like that's,
Well,
you know, like it makes people feel a
she
certain way.
does look ahead of time too.
Yes,
And the other difference is she can bust out a design in like an hour.
that's a major difference too. Like most people are not Deanna, so not you. Like you have molded it to where you can do it. But if you're like not really there yet and you're showing up unprepared, you know,
And
it's
I've been
different.
tattooed by some artists that like they haven't started the design
It
when you
just
get there,
makes me
and like it takes like hours. Like
it not
one
only
session
does
with a
it
particular
take
artist, like I
long.
didn't start getting tattooed till 7. We went till 2 in the morning.
Mm-hmm,
And like this artist is at that level where
mm-hmm,
they can afford to do
mm-hmm.
that, right? Because fuck,
Yeah,
if I don't get tattooed today, I'm waiting
yeah,
months and months, or
yeah,
maybe never again to get tattooed by
yeah,
this artist. So like you got to do whatever they do, but
yeah.
especially like, and like there aren't many artists out there that are at
Mm-hmm.
that level, and you never know, dude. You could piss somebody off because like I'm a tattoo collector, I kind of get how it goes,
Yeah,
but like if that's like somebody's not used to that, like
yeah,
that could upset them. And so especially like when you're coming up, yeah, I think that's super important to
yeah.
just have that level of like professionalism, and
Mm-hmm,
especially when it comes to like showing up on time for your appointments and stuff. Like
mm-hmm,
you'd get pissed if your client was an hour late to the
yeah,
appointment, right? So like show on time
yeah.
for your appointments. At least have an idea of what you're doing that day if you can design on the fly like that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you just you have to. I'm not saying you can't do it, but m a very small percentage of your clients are going to be collectors, tattoo artists, or people that
Very
know
small
tattoos a
percentage.
lot.
Very small percentage.
Most of the time they're first timers. They don't want that many pieces.
Or it's their first big piece. They haven't gotten tattooed in
Yeah,
years. We do so many people's
people
first
are so
tattoos
nervous,
here.
man. They're nervous, intimidated, scared, and they're like so hopeful that this is gonna be a great experience. They finally chose their artist. You know the how the people are like, I've been wanting this for 10 years, and
Yeah.
you know to us we do this every day, so we kind of like oh cool. But I've started to like, well not started, but like I always try to like, wow, that's amazing. I know this is a big deal for you, so so I book my clients. I've already seen their project. I approved it. So there's not going to be any
Totally.
surprises.
Same with her.
Yeah,
Same
there's
with
not
her.
going to be any surprises. And then I try not to look at it too far ahead of time because then I will stress myself out a little bit. Like there's no need for it. So the night before is when I pull up their email again and I'll read and I'm like, oh, it's that one that I
And
was
it's
really
just a
excited
refresher at
about.
that point.
Yeah, and so I'm like super excited every time. Like I just reread it because there's nothing worse than like pulling it up and like, oh fuck, I gotta do this tomorrow. Then why did I approve it? I did
Right.
that for a while, but not anymore. And so I get really excited, and then I'll decide the night before or the morning of before I get to the studio. And depending on the difficulty of the tattoo, I'll show up and I'll have like, dude, sometimes way too many ideas for the client to choose from, and they get so overwhelmed and so excited that there's so many. And sometimes I only have one that I'm like, look, this is all I could pull together for you, but let's work together, you know. And so when it's a lot of ideas, I tell them, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that it's this or nothing. This is just a guide for you to see what's possible on your
Yeah.
body. I will give you my favorites. I will tell you why something works as good as it does. I will tell you why something wouldn't work. The ones I'm showing you are things that I love. So obviously, I wouldn't show something I don't want to do. And then from there, I'm like, so it's almost like a mix and match kind of thing. Maybe they like this from this one, but this from this one, you know?
Yeah.
So we'll put them together. Good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you said is a great example
Mm-hmm.
too. And I literally just put this on my seminar. I've got one coming up in a few weeks for like studio owners. And I think it's really important to empathize with your clients.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you said, you do this every day, but especially if somebody gets tattooed by you, like they've been waiting months and they probably had that idea for like years before that,
Yeah.
before like pulling the trigger on it. So like for you, it's just another day. For them, this is like a life changing like moment. And then it's going to be on your body for forever. So I think
Yeah.
it's super
Yeah.
important, man.
So imagine showing up a little late, which I'm not gonna lie, I show up a little late every day, but dude, once I'm there, I mean, I am dialed in. I don't take breaks, barely. I'm very in tune with my clients. I talk a lot. So sometimes I just can't make it quite in time, you know, because of my kids and everything.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
hey, I come prepared.
I think people understand that too.
I'm ready
Yeah.
to go as soon as I get there. So, and I'm very personable. I'm very professional. I'm very, like I walk in and I make you feel welcome.
And I
You
and I
know?
think it's
Yeah.
important to let their client know when you're running late too.
Yeah.
And I've seen stories of this
yeah,
like
just
yeah.
text.
Yeah, just text, let them know. But
Yeah.
I've seen like stories where people get pissed off because the artist will come in like an hour late and they maybe
Oh,
like
Jesus.
acknowledge the client really quick and then they go and fuck around and like do other stuff.
Yeah.
They're like
And even
talking
if
to
you
other
come
artists.
in and go like stencil and get ready, it doesn't matter that you're, dude, I'm telling you, it's like there's so much of like in the like hospitality side and the service industry side that a lot of artists don't understand, that you could have a more successful career. But a lot of artists just want to be that, and that's fine. They just want to be
Totally.
artists and free and like, whatever. I'm a tattoo artist and I have no responsibilities. That's cool.
But then
We'll see
don't
how far
complain
that
if you can't book
we'll
out.
we'll see how far that gets
You
you.
know,
And I think the other super important thing, yeah, well, and I feel like
Mm-hmm.
you have to be so good to outwork that. Like you have to be
Yeah.
like one of
Oh,
the
exactly.
best artists in the
Exactly.
fucking world to be able to outwork an experience like
Yeah.
that, you know, because otherwise people just won't get tattooed by you.
Yeah,
But and
exactly.
I think where it all starts is like the communication aspect
Mm-hmm.
of it, like and that's one thing with Eden. Like I've always said since the beginning, like I want people to have like a seamless experience, like from the moment they inquire to like when their tattoo's done healing. And I think if you respond in a professional manner like that, you give all the information. You're not leaving things up to chance. You're getting all the information from them that you need. Like that, like I said, eliminates potential issues in the future, but it also just puts people's mind at ease because like they don't know what to expect. And even a tattoo collector, like I get hella anxiety when I'm getting tattooed by a new person, especially if I'm traveling, it's a new place. I don't know the artist sometimes. So if you can mitigate that as much as possible by giving people an indication of like what it is they're about to go through because it is so serious to them, I think that's huge right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we give them like a play by play. Like, we book them, and then like a week and a half before we confirm, and then a few days prior, we give them like a rundown of like what to expect. Bring this, bring that. This is what's gonna happen, and then I tell Sabrina to say things like, Quinn is so easygoing. You're gonna have a great experience.
That's
Like
awesome, man.
we
Yeah.
really are even the expectation of like meeting me, like everything. And so as soon as I walk in there, dude, it's always like so easy,
Yeah.
and they're so
Good.
excited, and it's like it's just like smooth. So
Yeah.
I never have any
and
trouble.
that's another reason too. I recommend like showing people who you are
Mm-hmm.
on social media because unless they see that, they really unless they've met you at a tattoo convention or something, they really
Yeah.
don't know how you're gonna be. So like somebody's checking out your page and you could tell, oh, this dude's funny, he loves his family,
Yeah.
like and he does badass art. That's like, dude, I want to get tattooed by this guy.
Yeah,
Like,
it
this is
helps a
gonna be
lot for
awesome.
sure. It
Yeah.
helps a lot. Like those, and they tip you at the end. I'm not gonna lie. If you're a nice guy, they'll tip you. They're just so excited that their
Yeah.
experience went so well. They have a cool tattoo and they were made, feel welcome and just at peace. I'm excited about uh, having my bed like yours too, because I always see people like even when they're getting their forearms tattooed and they're just laying down. It's like a lot more like, to me, it's a lot more um, just relaxed than having to sit up and just be in
Totally.
pain. And I've always had like this vision of like, okay, I want everybody just to be like, just your day to just chill,
Yeah.
watch TV, whatever you want. So I'm excited to have
Yeah.
that.
You should definitely do it. And if you put together a playground, you can put together that bed for sure. Like
Might
it's
Yeah.
should
really
fuck
not
this
that
one
hard.
up.
Yeah.
Especially now that you're Iron Man and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna start putting them together and selling them on the side on the corner.
No, that's
Oh
my
yeah, that's
gig.
your hustle.
No, just kidding. No, but it's just one of those things. Like and by the way, if you haven't seen Deanna's bed, we rigged it up. It's a standing desk from Uplift Desk that we bolted a massage table
It's
to. So
sick.
she stands and tattoos all
It
day
goes so
long.
high. I mean, it's crazy.
And that's the
Quinn
thing is
gave me a
there's
foot
not
pedal.
yeah, the foot pedal's badass. I highly recommend the foot pedal. But anyway, so that's what Quinn's talking about doing. And if you can get your hands on some way to be able to stand, I feel like that's gonna because you went to the doctor when your hips were all fucked up and they were like, dude, you've got to find a way to start standing and tattooing. You can't be sitting. And especially like Deanna
Or
has really good
surgery.
yeah. And Deanna has really good posture, but most artists are fucking like
Yeah, she does
over all
have good
day.
posture when she sits. I have noticed that. But so in the last 3 weeks, I think it was the week after the doctor thing happened, I was like, I gotta figure out a way to stand. And I have the ink bed, like just like your regular tattoo chair. I pumped that shit up as high as it went. It's not very high, so I had to I stood the whole day, but hunched over the tattoo. And even though that's dumb and it hurts, it relieved my knees and my hips for that day. And I'm like, okay, I can't do this. I need that other chair. But for that day, I was like, I see how much better this is. And every time I would like go to get ink, just that movement of like even taking one little step to my tray, loosening my legs, I was like, oh, this is super important.
And that's why I love that bed, because of other products on the market. Like you can stand and tattoo, but that goes to like 5 feet, and there's a
It's
big difference
so-
between doing this
And then
doing
having it right
this.
here. Yes.
Well, because if it's even a little bit lower, like most beds go high but not high enough, your neck will then hurt because you have to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
You need it high enough to where you can
Yeah.
do that.
That's sick.
That makes a huge
Yeah.
difference.
I'm going to do
Yeah.
it soon.
I'm working on a.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we can develop a partnership
Yeah.
with them. I'm
That'd
working
be
on
awesome,
it, but
man.
yeah.
But
Yeah, that
now
would be
since
awesome.
I stand and tattoo every day, my hips hurt less at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
When before, like everybody, it was a noticeable thing. I would just do this
Mhm.
all the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
just like digging my thumbs, going to orthopedic surgeons and massage
Mm-hmm.
physical therapists, all that. And now I don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's just a normal little hurt.
Yeah.
Like it just hurts when I move a certain way, but
Yeah.
I'm not in pain. And
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you like, there's like newer artists out there, like I know like the people at my studio, they're like newer artists and they're like constantly complaining about paints. And I'm like, this is not good this early on at all. And I feel like if this isn't a more common thing that's talked about and people just continue to work through these paints and not switch anything, not change anything, not take care of their bodies, like why should they have to go through the things that we're going through now if they
Right.
could change that from the very beginning, you know?
Totally.
So I never ever heard anybody speaking about that as I was coming up, and so
Yeah.
it's just now like a thing kind of, and I'm like, well,
start now.
Yeah.
fucking late. Nah, it's not too late, but it would have been nice.
Yeah. Well, we're about out of time.
Yeah, that's cool, bro.
But this was a fun episode, man.
Yeah, it was a little more laid back.
Hey, Ian, we've got the drive plugged into that thing, right? We've got the drive plugged into that thing, right? I almost had an anxiety attack. I was like trying to look over there. I was like, oh,
Just gonna start coming hanging
how
out with you
funny would
guys.
that be though? If I was like, oh, dude, we forgot again.
I would have liked to Sabrina like, no, I didn't leave town for the day. Just
Oh man. Well, dude, thanks so much
Yeah,
for coming
thank
out.
you
Thanks for
guys.
coming back.
Yeah.
So again, if you didn't listen to it before this episode, highly recommend checking out the audio only first episode. We'll release
So
it
you
as
do
like a
have that
double
somewhere?
episode. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, it's not out yet. But
Oh,
when,
gotcha.
when this episode comes out, I'm gonna release them at the same time.
Oh,
so they'll be
cool,
both
man.
out.
All right, cool.
Highly
Well,
recommend checking out that one first.
Yeah,
'cause
that one's deeper for sure. This one's more fun, but
Yeah,
that
well,
one's-
and it's a little bit like how we got into tattooing and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then this is more like current events, I feel like, which is good because at the end of the last podcast, I was like, and it was funny. I was like thinking about what you said at the symposium, and I was like, I want to hear about that more because like I want to hear about why your body is breaking.
yeah,
Now we know.
yeah. So I mean, I was just kind of excited that I had to cancel the last one because I was just like, I can't go talk to them right now. Like I was just not in a good place to be talking to anybody. And so I was like, I'm pretty sure this time it's gonna be more so about what's going on right now, and that's
Yeah.
fine, man. Because shit, I feel good. And so
Yeah.
if there's anybody out there that's like, it doesn't have to be that, you know, but just you gotta be a little bit more proactive about your body and
Yeah.
and things that are going on that you can control. you know,
Totally.
So
Well, yeah.
thank you guys.
Thanks so
Love
much
y'all.
for coming on, man.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it
We'll have to
again.
get you back on. Yeah, at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like
Yeah.
we could go all day, dude. There's
Yeah, we
stuff that I
could.
would-
Yeah, lots
didn't
of
get
stories to be
and-
told.
Yeah. Awesome. Well,
All
thanks,
right.
man.
Love you guys. Thanks.
Thanks for coming.